Here's an easy way to think of the warp ability. It's like Evoke and Adventure had a baby. A space baby. Evoke creatures immediately die, but adventure creatures, well, they go on adventures in exile. Warp is something similar to both. Warp is a brand new mechanic introduced in the Edge of Eternity set, and while it's mainly on creatures, Wizards says it can technically be on any permanent card. It acts as an alternate casting cost. You can cast a card from your hand for its warp cost, like this Germinating Worm. It enters and you gain 2 life, and you have access to a 5/5 for 2 mana. It is cheaper, but the card is exiled at the beginning of your next end step, and most of the creatures don't have haste, but you can cast it on a later turn from exile by paying its full mana cost. Warp enables powerful enter or leave the battlefield effects and supports interactions with the new mechanics Station and Void. Station is a cool synergy that we'll talk about in another video, but Void is very important here. Void is a new mechanic that triggers when a non-land permanent leaves the battlefield on that turn, or you've warped a spell that turn. Decode Transmissions is one of my favorite examples. It's a sorcery that lets you draw 2 cards, then lose 2 life. But if you've got Void this turn, instead you'll draw 2, then each opponent loses 2. So these cards do something, but then change to gain more of an advantage when you trigger them. Clear as mud? Well, cool. Let's move to the warp rules and interactions. Warp is an alternate casting cost for the spell, which means that yes, you can counter a spell that's being warped. Void abilities do still trigger though, even if the spell gets countered, because you've already cast the card for its warp cost. Cards with warp do not have an alternate mana value. The converted mana cost at the top right will always be the printed value, regardless of whether the spell was warped or cast normally. You can only use a warp ability from your hand. Once the card is in exile after being warped, you cannot use its warp ability again unless it somehow goes back to your hand. You cannot warp at instant speed. Well, usually. If you have something like Leyline of Anticipation that gets around that. However, warp abilities specifically state that you can cast them from exile on a later turn. This could be your next turn or an opponent's turn, but unless you have an instant speed modifier or the permanent has flash, you're tied to timing restrictions. I hope that clears it up for warp cost, and if you have any questions, I try and respond to comments as best I can. Thank you so much to my Patreon subscribers who are always there for me, and thank you to Manfred Proxies as well as TCGplayer for being part of all of this with their affiliate links. I'll catch you all next week for your weekly dose of magic.